This is the interview for the game Changeling. I have some of the members of the dev team here. If you guys want to go one by one, starting with you introducing yourselves, and then we can get going.
I'm Kendall.
I'm Gail.
And I'm Jack.
Okay, so what are your all's roles on this project?
I'm a narrative and dev.
Okay.
I'm the lead for the onboarding team and a developer.
Okay.
And I am the current lead for the project, running the whole ship.
Okay. So I suppose you might be the one to ask then. Could you describe to me what Changeling is and the overall goals of this game experience?
Yeah, so Changeling in general is a narrative mystery about a detective who can enter people's minds, attempting to figure out why a baby is unresponsive and how magic may be involved. The general idea of the game is that you're entering the family of that baby and playing through their own head, trying to figure out if they have any tips on why things might not be so right.
Okay.
And the overall goal is to give anyone who is completely new to VR a ground-up experience that they can enjoy and almost have a jump off to almost any other experience.
Okay. So you mentioned that you're working in VR, all that stuff. Where did the inspiration to put this particular project in VR come from?
We wanted the player to be able to get inside someone's head, be able to kind of just
don't lose yourself.
Be someone else.
Okay.
Also, the fact that we have a bunch of different ideas that we had that would specifically work with VR, it just worked out. And also the fact that we are actually not the first group to work on this game.
Okay.
We have generally been going since 2019. So it is to give IGM students the chance to work on a VR game while on campus and give them that first jump off point to be able to experience bigger studios.
Okay. So how many people are working on this game right now?
The current team we have is about 25 people. I would say about half of us are on campus and half of us are remote all over the country and world.
Wow, okay. So quite a few people at that point then. For you three in particular, then I'd like to ask, what has been your favorite part about working on Changeling thus far? And how long have you been working on it?
What I see and what I feel.
I'd say my favorite part has been going through the narrative and helping to kind of refine it a little bit. And I also really enjoy looking at each level and seeing it develop and how different people have different ideas to change the way that it works now.
And how many levels are in the game currently?
Be careful.
3 or 4 depending on what you classify as a level.
Don't lose yourself, Aurelia.
My favorite part has been taking all sorts of ideas and getting from all sorts of people, including myself, and having the creative freedom to implement them and make those ideas shine.
What I see and what
We've seen all sorts of things from both past semesters and this semester that we've gotten to implement, and it's been really cool.
My personal favorite thing that I've done is just being able to honestly see the team of students that we have.
Right.
We have artists, we have level designers, puzzle designers, narrative. We literally have everyone that we could ask for, and to see every single day new sketches get posted of characters, new level designs get worked on, to see people be able to give each other very honest feedback. That kind of environment, and knowing that that's the group that's going to then go out and potentially work on games and other immersive projects is just so rewarding.
Yeah. And obviously this is a project that's encompassed RIT for a long time, particularly the IGM program. Flipping the question on its head then, what would you find to be the most difficult part of working on a project like this? Again, this is most people's first large development group, their first experience with VR, things like that. So hurdles are eventually going to come along, and I'm sure you guys have had some experience with that.
Yeah, that's kind of a hard question. I think that the hardest part for me is kind of getting used to like working in such a big group,
Aurelia,
I'd say, because
please,
I've
come in.
personally only
Mrs.
worked in
Summers,
smaller
right?
groups where ideas kind of align,
Right.
but working in this big group, there's a lot of different ideas from all different places. So trying to come together sometimes can be a struggle, but in the end, it's always kind of fun to see
Yeah.
what
Don't
comes
lose
out of
yourself,
it.
Aurelia.
For me, I said it was my favorite, but it's also a huge challenge working in a company that essentially has 100% turnover every few months. Because we have to work with stuff that, like, we're working with just the ideas that people had in the past and not those people themselves
They
to,
belong
like,
to someone else.
explain what's in progress, how we want to iterate on things. And, like, it's a very fine line to be towing every day,
You can call me.
as well as working in such a big group.
I think there are natural growing pains with this being
Be careful.
basically everyone's first really big
Stay safe.
foray into
Don't
like
lose yourself, Aurelia.
kind of professional game development.
Right.
That, and then you tack on VR and you tack on an engine that isn't at least typically used from the classes I had seen. Normally at RIT, we've used a lot of Unreal. So to swap to, we use a lot of Unity. So to swap to Unreal
When I
has some
say
growing
what I feel,
pains.
art- they belong to
So
someone else.
that
I just
and
can't let their emotions
documentation has been a nightmare.
Yeah.
Just looking over past stuff and going, why was this coded like this? This makes no sense. And having to redo everything. And then knowing that what we code will probably cause the exact same experience for people in the future. It can be a little
Yeah.
rough, but we do the best we can.
So how do you overcome problems like that?
Just like write as great of documentation as we can, give as detailed of notes. I mean, we are also always still in the giant Discord server that we all have. So if something were to come up, I guess you could also ping the person and be like,
Right.
hey,
They belong to someone else.
what is this? Why does this exist? And can you help us? It's either that or just working as a team to almost decipher what was going on and then either use that or completely rewrite it.
Okay, and how often do you guys end up rewriting stuff?
Be careful. Stay safe.
It goes from some things that are like, yeah, no, this works. Okay, let's just make one change to
Yeah.
why was this implemented like this? Let's just ground up. And we have gone through, I think, 2 or 3 different complete level redesigns.
Okay.
We have done a lot specifically with the Father's level, which is essentially a giant clock tower. That originally started out as much more Rube Goldberg-like, but this semester we looked at it and went,
You can call me Angela.
that doesn't work, so we changed it into a nice vertical clock tower using essentially all the same ideas.
Wow. Okay.
Be
So,
careful.
since it's VR and most people at RIT are mostly experienced with 3D and 2D development without, the addition of motion tracking and things like that, what are the particular hurdles that you guys have had to overcome in, approaching such a project?
Kind of getting used to the 3D space, I'd say, because I had never even touched VR before getting onto this project, so getting used to just kind of getting into the VR with the headset and everything, all the
Please,
placements,
come in.
just kind of
Mrs.
general
Summers,
stuff.
right?
Yeah.
You can call me Angela.
I think for me, it's just been like, there's a lot of things that can wind up going wrong and a lot of troubleshooting that has to be done with VR. Especially because the requirements for like optimization are a lot tighter. So that's been an interesting hurdle to contend with.
It is also, VR has now been around for a while, and we're finally getting to that place where the average consumer at least knows about VR, and I'd say about maybe 20-25% might have a VR headset. So the amount of documentation specifically for VR just in general is kind of low compared to just general Unreal development. So having to essentially work through determining what we can.
So which VR platforms in particular are you guys using and targeting with this game? I know it's most likely targeting a Steam release, so Oculus and things like that would most likely be targeted. But is there anything in like any hardware in particular that you're working for?
I mean, in general, we are trying to make this game as accessible as possible to as many different things as we have. I know personally that I work off of a Vive, so because it is just essentially a downloadable that you can run, you can run it on any sort of hardware. I know that you run it on some Dell mixed reality thing that was discontinued like 3 years ago.
Yeah, that was a Microsoft partnership I think they were working with. Yeah.
So quite literally anything.
Okay.
We are actively working on more accurate controls and tutorials for those different devices. But we, I guess, are based in Oculus, but we can essentially use it.
So this would work on my Quest then, if I download it for that, or would that have to run off the desktop version? Right now we only have it as an exe. We'd love to end up putting it on the Oculus Store, but we're still going through development. We're looking at least looking into early access by the time we finish this semester, but obviously we only have 4 weeks left.
Don't lose yourself, Aurelia.
So early access is your guys' goal then for this last stretch of development then?
Yeah.
Okay. And you mentioned that you guys are cycling through new developers every few months. So is that something that happens every semester, or is it like semester, summer, semester, and then everything in between? Is that how often you guys are moving through?
Exactly that.
Okay.
It is. We have spring, summer, and fall. Funnily enough, we are currently hiring for summer.
Okay.
But I mean, people generally do one semester of this, either working remote or working on campus.
Okay.
Especially for those who want to work on campus, all of the stuff is provided because we get access to a VR lab. But you don't even need VR to kind of play test the game. We have debug controls, so essentially, as long as your computer can run Unreal, you could help out.
Okay. So we have some footage of the game running on the screen right now. I can rewind it to the beginning. If you want to describe what's exactly happening in the trailer you guys have put together here, that'd be great.
Yeah, so this is one of our earlier levels, which just starts as a street with a noir aspect where you learn that if you touch people, you can see inside their memories, and you eventually end up going to the family house where you are able to see more in depth what memories the family's having. And then you enter your mind palace, which is a beautiful, sprawling place to figure out what you can find. This footage specifically is from the mother's level, which
this
we
one's
have.
always catching my eye, like the house breaking apart, something like that. That's a really cool effect.
We have a pull star effect with that. What this trailer currently doesn't show is our other levels that we have in development, which is the father's level, which is.
So is this only the first level there?
This is only the first little bit of the game because we've had such active development. We weren't able to get everything perfectly done. But we have a tweens level where you're essentially using a mechanic very similar to a portal gun to shoot yourself up onto platforms. And we also have a father's level, which is very traditional slide blocks, gear puzzles, pipe puzzles.
Wow. Okay. Well, it sounds really interesting. We're kind of running out of time now. Is there anything else you guys wanted to add before we wrap up?
So if you are interested in Changeling, you can go to changelingvr.com. We currently have the Edge build that we are using today on there, so you can play it yourself if you hit play now. In addition, on the website itself, we have a ton of mini experiences so you can immerse yourself in the story just from your own browser. If you are interested, check out Career Connect. You can join the project for the summer or fall, and we would love to have you regardless of experience or your background.
thank you very much. That was very informative. I appreciate you guys coming on. That was the development team for
Lose
Changeling.
yourself, Aurelia.
Thank you guys.
Absolutely.
Thanks
Thank you
for
so
having us.
much.
Yeah.